everyone. Today I have with me Eoin Dempsey, and he is an author, and we have chatted before, and I will also put the link to our first interview. So this is the second time we're talking, which I'm so excited about because this is exactly what I want to do, is keep in touch with all my authors. And we get to talk about the BOGSIDE Boys, which was actually written before Finding Rebecca. But oh, I thought it was written before. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Right. Sorry. But the BOGSIDE Boys now has a book outside of Kindle.
Paperback, yeah.
Paperback. We don't have it. But you can have it.
I don't have it.
I don't have it. He doesn't have it, but you can have it. So, anyway, exactly. Thank you for coming back on, Eoin. I'm so happy because we had so much fun the last time. Yes. And I want to tell you, I don't know if your wife is around. I know you have a wife. She's right there.
Yeah, she's looking after the kid, making sure he doesn't get out.
Oh, that's okay. Can she hear me?
Probably not.
Okay.
She's watching something on HGTV.
Yeah, right. You can, you can let her listen to this. But I was thinking today when I was going over the book, because I read it a while ago, and I was like, what's it like to be married to Eoin, who writes the best romantic books?
I wish she was here. Jill, what's it like to be married to me, who writes the best romantic historical fiction? She says it's a constant romantic adventure.
That's what I was thinking. It would be a constant romantic adventure because your books are like so. I've never read a male author that can write romance the way you do. And every time I give up hope, I know that it's you writing it, and I'm like, hold on, they will find a way.
Wow. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so I like want to know, like, so when you were like little, like, are you just like a really romantic guy? Like, did you just have this vision of like, because your characters, it's not normal. It's not like they have this like love affair that's absolutely perfect and nothing could be wrong. I mean, it's against all odds. It's against countries and religions and wars and like.
I think I certainly don't consider myself a romance novelist by any means. First of all, I think I just use the romance parts and the relationship parts as a vehicle. And I think it's such a basic part of all our lives. It's the pillar which we base all the rest of our lives around is our relationship, and particularly the relationship with our other, our husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it might be. And I use that as part of my dastardly little plan to teach you history when you won't particularly feel like learning about it. And in the BOGSIDE Boys, I use that to teach you about the conflict in Northern Ireland and to bring to attention things that I thought needed to be brought to attention. And the romance part. But it is,
you're right. You weave it into a story that, yes, I'm learning, but I don't even realize I'm learning about how, Finding Rebecca was about World War II. And this is what I find interesting. Finding Rebecca, like, I knew pretty much about World War II, but you taught me more about World War II than I even knew, okay? And then with the BOGSIDE Boys, I knew nothing. And I know this is going to come as a shock to you since you're not, born and raised American like me, but in history, we didn't really learn about it. Ireland, seriously, I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm an 80s child. I graduated in 82, so we never got that far, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, it wasn't like we got, but even learning about the history of Ireland, it just isn't, it wasn't part of when you learned about English history. They kind of glossed over it, but I have to tell you a funny story. This is my perception as a Pennsylvania Dutch growing up in a small city outside of Allentown, Pennsylvania, okay? This is my Catholic... Okay, so I'm Pennsylvania Dutch. It's a very small city. And we have one Catholic church. And then we have 20 Protestant churches, okay? I'm Protestant, right? But anyway, we have one Catholic church. It's kind of in the middle, but it's there, right? So my grandparents told me one time, I knew some of my friends were Irish, some of them were Italian, but I did know that they were Catholic. No big deal. I didn't care. Who cares? But anyway, my grandparents told me the story one time. Your aunt almost married a Catholic.
Oh, can you imagine?
And I remember I was like,
Oh,
okay, almost. And why didn't, like, why was that a thing? And they were like, yeah, we said no. I was like, why? Why
thank
did you
goodness.
say no? Like, I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. They were Pennsylvania Dutch. They weren't even English. They were Pennsylvania Dutch. I have no idea why it mattered, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Like, at that time, I was just like, that's weird. I have a whole bunch of friends that are Catholic, and, who cares? But anyway, so when I was reading this book, I was like, yeah, that's the only Catholic thing I ever remember somebody saying to me, growing up, that it was a thing, like being Catholic. But in Ireland, it's a thing. And in BOGSIDE BOYS, it's a thing. So it's a very serious thing. And whether that had anything to do with it, I don't know. Maybe I mean, I'm telling you, they're Pennsylvania Dutch. They were not English. So I don't know why it mattered. I don't know, religious wars matter, that's been the history of that's all wars are about for the most part. But the Catholic Protestant thing, why don't you start us from the beginning on the Catholic Protestant thing? Because I know, I mean, just like in a sentence. No, just like,
That's very easy to answer. Take you about 15 seconds, right? Okay. First.
Just a sentence about, okay, so just a brief, here's Ireland, and Ireland is mostly English, right? I mean, was it 100% English?
Okay. You're probably best off, Michelle, if you let me.
I'm just going to let you, right? You know what, Owen? I'm just going to let you talk.
Okay. So just to put in, we're talking about the Catholic, rather than go into a history of the island of Ireland, just to put in context the Catholic Protestant thing in Northern Ireland. Okay. It's like all forms of sectarianism or racism. The actual fact they have a slightly different religious ceremony than I do, that's nothing to do with anything. It's all just it's a disguise for forms of racism and tribalism and divisions of people, right?
Okay.
So in Northern Ireland, it's the Irish against the British who live there. The Irish being the Catholics, and the British being the Protestants. My baby just came in. Oh, so it's like all forms of sectarianism, and I'm laughing as I'm saying this. It's a way of dividing people. It's a way of people consolidating their power. Now, traditionally, years ago, now we're going back to the 1600s, okay? Northern Ireland was the most troublesome part of Ireland, which had been taken over by England, because England originally went into Ireland to prevent it as a launching pad for invasion by the Spanish into England, okay? So they took it over themselves.
Okay.
So they were exerting their influence. And the most troublesome part of Ireland was the northern part, okay? Because they were warriors and very patriotic Irish. So what they did was they brought over what they known as settlers. So they brought over people, planters from Scotland and from England, Protestants. So they were brought over as British people, as Protestants, and the religions were very much associated with each nationality. Because obviously, going back to the Reformation, Henry VIII had set up the Church of England just because he wanted an extra wife, blah, blah, blah. So I wonder how these people think about these days, just because Henry VIII wanted to get laid again. Anyway, whatever.
Right.
It was the religion was very closely associated with the nationality. The Protestants came over, they set up their own British enclave. The lands were taken from the Irish chieftains who lived there at the time, and the Catholics were made second-class citizens. Now, fast forward to the 20th century, 1922, when, after the War of Independence in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, which I'm from, the 26 counties breaks away, becomes the Irish Free State, which is an independent country. However, the ruling Protestant majority in the 6 counties, and they specifically made it 6 so they'd have a majority, because the actual Ulster is 9 counties, but if they had all 9, it would have been a Catholic majority. So they gerrymandered the counties to have it so they would have a majority. Then they clung on to their power as part of being part of the UK. They were also afraid they'd lose their power if they became part of Ireland. So then we go forward to the part of the book which the BOGSIDE BOYS is set in. It's set in the Catholic city of Derry, but through gerrymandering, the Protestant minority are in control of the city. And the Catholics there, who are the Irish, obviously, who would associate themselves as Irish, are being subjugated by the Protestant minority, and that is when the troubles in Northern Ireland started in Derry, in the city of BOGSIDE BOYS is based, and then it really, really kicked off after the events of Bloody Sunday, which is the first few chapters of the book.
Okay.
So,
that does clear
that.
No, it makes it clear because like I said, there's a lot of people that are going to listen that they're not as familiar, because it just wasn't. It wasn't. I don't even remember it. I mean, at 72, I was young, so I mean, I sure remember hearing about it, but not, that it was a part of my life. But here's the interesting thing: so when they're, you can't really tell, even though it's more of a class, it's a religious war, but you can't tell what religion somebody is based on name or what they look like, or
well, you can on name, to be honest,
you can.
but look like not so much. But if you in Northern Ireland, if you meet someone called Paddy O'Hara, like he's a Catholic, and if you meet someone called Reginald Jones, he's Protestant. Like you can tell generally by people's names. So very Irish names like my own. If I was from Northern Ireland, then like someone would see my name written down, like that's a Catholic right there. So you can by the names generally.
Because did the Catholics stick to the New Testament names? Is that what you're trying? Like they stuck more.
Just traditionally Irish names, particularly the more traditionally Irish surname.
Okay.
Like,
stuck to the Irish names, right?
Carties and the the
right,
Carties.
you hear
and
the name
that
Patrick, you think Irish.
Yeah, and someone called and someone who is loyal to the British Crown, it certainly isn't going to call their kid Patrick or Sean, because that's the other side. That's a name from the other side. So hence the names in the book are quite carefully chosen. Okay. And I've got a story about the names in a minute, actually, but the names of the characters.
Well, that's why Pat and Mick, that's, that makes sense for them, their names.
Yeah, when I was naming characters, I'll tell you the story now. Okay. So when I was naming the characters, right, I wanted to kind of pay homage as much as I could to the people who died in Bloody Sunday. So I named as many characters in the book as I could after people who died. And I named the main characters, what's his name? I named Pat and Mick after Patrick and Michael Doherty, after a guy who was killed on Bloody Sunday called Patrick Doherty. All right, he was a steward at the march, and he was shot in the chest, and there's a slight mention of him towards the end of chapter 4 where he's crawling along the floor. I tried to keep as accurately as possible to what happened on the day. Apart from the names and the characters, actually what goes on in the book is extremely accurate to what went on. So Patrick Doherty was named after a real person. So I went up to Derry in about 2014 to do some research for this. I was home in Ireland. I'm home a couple of times a year. So I went up to Derry and I did a tour, okay? And on the tour, what was the guy's name again? Not Doherty. So I went to the tour called BOGSIDE History Tours. All right, and on the tour, let me have a look here. I haven't told this in a while. So on BOGSIDE, I went to the BOGSIDE History Tours, and they did a tour of the BOGSIDE, which is an area of Derry where the book is set, obviously.
Right.
Now, on the tour, they just lead us around, and Derry's quite a small town. And the area that this all took place in was quite small too. So it didn't take a long way to go around, but it was literally that you could see bullet holes in the walls from where the soldiers had fired that were still there. And the famous "Welcome to Free Derry" sign is that's been preserved. The place has been changed because after what went on, the council in Derry wanted people to forget about it, so they knocked the whole place down, but they managed to preserve a little bit of it. But actually the way it was then is more or less gone. There was a few walls left with bullet holes in it, but that's about it. Anyway, so the guy doing the tour that I was on was called Paul Doherty. And at the end of the tour, during the middle of the tour, I realised he was telling a story about his own father that died on Bloody Sunday. And I realised at the end of the tour that I'd named one of my characters after his father.
Wow.
And Bloody Sunday, and I went up to him at the end, and I had a few words with him. He was a very, really cool guy. He was real king of the town. He knows everybody, talking to everybody around the place. Great guy. And I'm still a little bit of touch with him.
Oh.
And I asked him at the end, "Listen, Paul, I'm writing a book. I told him about it before, and I was giving him very detailed questions, whereas most people were real, how many people died, like basic questions like that. But I was like, what angle was this soldier at when he fired this weapon? Who was he? Was he on his knees or was he standing or whatever? And I asked him, could I use his father's name? And he said, very much so. That would be great. Go ahead. I'd be honored if you used my father's name. So it meant a lot to me to be able to get to his permission and to be able to talk to someone who's directly affected to this day by the violence that I was writing about.
Yeah. And, I was just thinking, like, you probably weren't even born yet. You're young.
No.
Exactly. I was thinking, You're young. You're a lot younger than me. So,
a few years old born. Not too many, but a few years old.
So, but being raised there, I mean, was there still always lots of conflict even after that?
Well, I'll tell you from my perspective. I'm not from Northern Ireland, I'm from Dublin.
Right.
So, when I was growing up, I was growing up in the 80s, and you just hear on the news. So we had didn't have very many TV channels in Ireland, and a lot of our TV channels came from England, and they were true Northern Ireland. So we'd have Northern Ireland TV, and every night of the news you would hear a lot of nights, 2-3 nights a week. Oh, policeman was shot. Soldier was shot. And it's the little things that just keep on piling up. Like everybody would hear about the big bombs that would kill 9 or 10 people. Mm-hmm. It happened every so often, but just little things all the time. Someone was kneecapped last night in Limavady, or someone was shot in Oma, or in South Belfast, someone was shot, or just these things over and over and over and over and over. Just little things all the time. Mm. So that was my impression. But also being from Dublin, we just didn't really go to Northern Ireland because, like, why would you? It was
right, exactly.
No offense to Northern Ireland at all, and if anyone listens to it, it's a wonderful place, and I'm glad to say it's getting it's a lot better since. But back then, from our perspective, having no particular tie to the place, even though it's only 90 miles away, it could have been 900. Really, it seemed like a different world. But
wow,
yeah, it was something that interested me a lot, and I'm glad I got to meet Paul and to touch the history there.
Yeah, and like I said, with your books, I always learn. I mean, I was learning lots of things that I didn't know, but I always hesitate to talk because I want people to read it. I don't want to tell people about it. But let me tell you, like, you always get me, okay? Like, I always think I know what's going to happen, and then I get to a certain spot, and I'm like, today I was like, I forgot about that part. Oh, you got me on that, and I had forgotten this one part, and I was like, your stories always, they suck me in, and then I think I know exactly where it's going, and then it takes a total different turn, and, but I love that, I love that. Because I always think I know, okay? Sometimes I think I read enough that I just know exactly where you're going to go, and it's not true.
Great.
I know. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. Cool. That means I'm doing my job, as I said. Yeah, that's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, and of course, the girl's name is Melissa, and I happen to know a lot of Melissas that are Catholic, so I was thinking, that was kind of interesting, and they're Irish, they're Irish, and so
that name was that name was I think that name kind of like a mixed name. I'm not sure that's strictly a Protestant name or strictly British, but
yeah,
I wrote it for some reason.
Yeah, but I loved her character. I loved how you wrote her. Like I said, you had me going with her. Like I kept, and then that's why I said about you with love stories. It's like your characters are always apart for a long period of time. Okay, they've like moved on. They've and then you have me thinking, I could just walk into a coffee shop and then that guy that I knew 20 years ago is going to be sitting there. Like,
sure, could be.
I know.
It could happen.
I know. I just never think that way until I read your books, and then I'm like, but they could be. It could happen. You never know,
Could be an idea for my next novel.
Yeah, that's right. So, how is the BOGSIDE Boys doing? Like, you have it. Okay, so now you put it out on paperback. So, was it doing really well on Kindle? I mean, is it like?
It had a bit of a shorter lifespan than Finding Rebecca. But yeah, it's done respectively, definitely, and it keeps chugging along. It's never dying. It just keeps on chugging.
I think Finding Rebecca, because of World War II, I think a lot of people are World War II buffs, so that comes up on searches. You know what I mean? I think it's more. It probably has more to do on the Amazon
Well,
world.
this is genre. People don't go on Amazon and look up. Oh, I think I'll read a good Northern Ireland book now. There's a genre for that, you know. But people do go on reading World War II books or Holocaust books or whatever.
Yes.
So there's no genre that book really fits into. So yeah, I really want to write it. What can I say? And
Well,
I had
that's why
offers,
I wanted to do this interview, because I want these, you know, when I find a good book, I always want it to be out there, because not all the time, you know, Amazon doesn't always do its job. So I always think that I need to like tell everybody how good that book is, and I'm so happy that it's in a physical copy, because Kindle's good. Kindle has its purpose, but you know how I am about a physical copy, so I'm gonna buy one anyway. I don't care.
Right.
I already read it, but
anyway.
I'm gonna add it to my.
I'm gonna buy one myself. So that's two.
Oh my gosh! I left Finding Rebecca at one of my friend's house. I was telling her about it, and I was like, you know, you got to read this book, and she was like, okay, and then I came back, and her kids were reading it.
Oh,
I almost cried. I was like, you guys read Finding, and they're like, this is such a good book. I'm like, I know. So
what age were they? They weren't like too young, were they?
They weren't too young. No, they're older teenagers.
Some of my kids in class asked me about it. 8th graders, I'm okay with that. Just about, but anything underneath.
No, these are high school kids. But it was just like, I was like, oh, look at they're reading Finding Rebecca, and they loved it, and they were so happy about it too. I know, so I thought you'd like to hear that, you know?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's good for me. Yeah, I like hearing that.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what's next?
What's next? I have another book coming out next January. White Rose, Black Forest is coming out next January. And that's going to be published by Lake Union. About January 23rd or so. And then I'm about to start writing a new book, hopefully in the next few days. Now, you'd be really surprised here, but the main part of the story is going to be about a love story between a young girl and a young boy, and then they're going to go up to. I'm really interested in the gold rush in the Yukon in the late 19th century. So I'm thinking about having them meet on the way up there, and then going through the arduous journeys together. But she's got a lot of. I won't go into it too much.
Tell me about the book that's going to come out. What is that one about?
Oh, White Rose, Black Forest. Right. So it's set in Germany, 1943. It's in the Black Forest, and there's a woman. The woman is walking in the mountains in the snow in December, and she's literally suicidal. And she's going to commit suicide, and she's out there walking along in the snow, and she sees a body with a parachute still flapping in the wind. She hasn't seen it come down, but so she goes up, and it's a guy dressed in a Luftwaffe uniform, and she's a former nurse. So the snow's coming in, and she's miles from anywhere. So she decides to save his life, digs him a snow cave, drags him in, and they spend the night in there together. He's unconscious the whole time. But when he is in hysterics in his sleep, he blurts something out in English. So she brings him back to their secluded cabin in the mountains. And her history is she was a German dissident, part of this movement in Munich in 1942-1943 called the White Rose movement, which was a movement of students, dissidents who put out all these, literature against Hitler. Now, unfortunately, the students were caught and they were guillotined, and she was part of that movement, and hence she's suicidal when she finds him. I won't go too much more into it. He's got to hide it. It's all about them. Can they trust each other, and then they get together.
Wow. And then you get to take me on a little roller coaster ride of their love story. So, but
yeah, very happy. I'm really happy with this one. Actually, I'm looking forward to it a lot.
I just hate that it takes so long. Like, did you get anxious about how long it takes for it to come out?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. I sat down with my editor. I lunched her a few weeks ago. She came to Philadelphia, and she brought me to a nice restaurant. We sat down, and I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, and we told. Literally, I did, and I was like, she said, "So when would you like this book to come out?" She accepted it. She actually accepted it before she'd read the full thing. She halfway through and she made an offer on it, and she said, when we like, when I was like 2-3 months. She's like, no, can't do. And I was like, why can't this come out within 6 months or whatever? And it's literally they have a certain amount of slots to fill. Publisher I'm with, like Union, is getting bigger and bigger as they get more successful, and they literally have a number of slots they're filling in 2017, and there's no slots left. And they're actually oversubscribed already by one book. So the next slot they could put me into was January 2018, which is seems like a long time away, you know.
I don't like that system at all. But that's just me as a reader. Sometimes the publishing world holds up good books, and I don't like it because I want them to come out. So.
Yeah, what can you do though? It's their world. I'm just.
Exactly. But anyway, I want you to keep writing. So in the meantime, till that one comes out, keep writing because you are an awesome storyteller, and I love your books. I pass them out. I tell people about them all the time, and
I really appreciate that.
Yes, and I will do the same with BOGSIDE Boys. And this is usually the point where I hold the book up.
Yeah.
But I can't do that.
Hang on, I got something for you.
What?
Check this out.
There we go. Is that what the cover looks like?
Yes.
Awesome.
It's a little postcard of the book.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome cover. I love it.
It's been on my fridge for like 2 years.
There you go. Yes. Okay, so we can show that. So everybody, go read BOGSIDE Boys. It is amazing. Yeah. You will learn lots of stuff about Northern Ireland and.
Well, not in a boring way. It's a story.
It's a story.
Also,
It's story.
You'll learn about.
Yeah, it's a love. I was just gonna say it's a love story. It's a historical fiction story, but you learn so much, and I love how you keep, like you said, you always like to weave in truth, and that's why I never doubt that what happened. I always get to learn about these places, and I know you're not making it up. That is what happened. So I love that about your books, and you're just always the teacher, in my life. So. So anyway, Eoin, thank you so much for coming back on. So now this is show number 2. So, the next time you got to come on and talk about the other, Black Forest.
White Rose, Black Forest.
White Rose.
She's a member of the White Rose movement, and it's set in Black Forest.
Okay, White Rose, Black Forest. And I can't wait. Will you let us know, ahead, give me a little heads up on that?
Sure, yeah.
And then we'll do a little, we'll do an interview for the launch of it and, get the wheels turning.
Yeah, we're January next year, so
awesome.
We'll be slightly older and a little bit wiser, perhaps.
Yep, and then hopefully we can talk about your next one, and then we'll just keep doing this. So
yeah, hopefully I'll have them lined up then. Yeah,
and tell your wife I know her life is an adventure. I understand that it's just one big romantic adventure. So
oh, yeah, she's one lucky lady. Let me tell you, Michelle.
I know. Thank you, Eoin. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, bye-bye.